other breaking news out of Washington, D.C. The U.S. Supreme Court declining to block a New York grand jury from getting President Trump's personal and corporate tax returns. Pete Williams has the latest. Pete, explain this. Former President Trump's team has been trying to prevent this grand jury from seeing his taxes, and the Supreme Court said, sorry, Charlie, not going to happen?
Exactly right. You may remember earlier this year, the court said the president wasn't immune from the grand jury's investigative powers. So he went back to court a second time arguing, OK, well, in this case, I'm saying the subpoena is overbroad. And today the Supreme Court said it would not hear his appeal of two lower court decisions that rejected that. So two things about this. Number one, obviously, bad news for the president, who has fought tooth and nail to try to keep these tax returns away from the prosecutors led by Cy Vance, the Manhattan district attorney. The second thing is it doesn't mean that the tax returns are going to become public anytime soon. They may never become public unless Vance uses them as evidence and brings charges. So it's bad news for the president. His accountants now must turn over 8 years of tax documents to this grand jury that's investigating the hush money payments and other aspects of the Trump organization's finances. In response to the Supreme Court's order today, by the way, it was a brief, unsigned order, just one line. Cy Vance said simply, the work continues. And by the way, we've been waiting for the Supreme Court to decide what to do here since last October. That's when the Trump emergency appeal was filed to the Supreme Court. And my guess was the court didn't want to get involved during the election campaign and then didn't want to get involved in all the legal controversy after the election and then didn't want to get involved in the impeachment issue. But now that the coast is clear, the Supreme Court's order has come out, a brief one-line order saying simply it was referred to the Circuit Justice, Stephen Breyer, and denied.
Then what's the timing? If Cy Vance says the work continues, when will that grand jury see those taxes?
Almost immediately. The accountants, this is it. This is the end of the road for the president's lawyers to appeal here. The accountants for the president have always said they'll abide by whatever the courts say. And this has all been set to go sort of in the starting blocks. Even though Vance's team had won in the lower courts, Vance agreed to hold off on any demand for these documents until the Supreme Court has handled his case. You can bet that that is all ready to go. All they have to do is turn the key. Those demands will go to the accountants. The accountants are ready to turn it over. So I suspect this will be a matter of days.
So they're going to see it immediately. Can you give us more insight into what that means after that?
Well, the grand jury is going to have to decide whether these two new puzzle parts, if you will, they'll look at his taxes from the accountants, add to their knowledge of the Trump organization and whether that constitutes a crime. And Vance will have to decide whether to bring charges or not. But we know that this grand jury has continued to work. They've brought in new forensic accountants. Their work seems to be growing. The topics that they're looking at seems to be growing as well. They've said very little about this because of grand jury secrecy. But we know that it's expanded beyond simply the statements. Remember the genesis of all this. It was Michael Cohen's testimony before the Senate that the president wasn't truthful in stating his assets, that sometimes he would overstate them when he was trying to get loans, and sometimes he would understate them when he was trying to avoid taxes. That's sort of what got this started, and then the hush money payments as well. But it's gone beyond that. It's gone beyond those payments. It's gone beyond that treatment. It's looking at a much broader look at the Trump organization.
And as a reminder, the president's former fixer, Michael Cohen, was interviewed again last week. Pete, thank you. I want to bring back with us the